Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Matthew Fornaro. And he is a entrepreneur and he's an author, he's a lawyer as well. And it's going to be a really interesting discussion around financial freedom, financial literacy, and financial planning. So, Matthew, welcome.
Thank you, Christopher. Thanks for having me.
Introduce yourself, talk about your story and your background and what you do, and we'll get started.
Sure. I'm Matthew Fornaro. I'm from Parkland, Florida. I've lived here since I was 6 years old. I'm an attorney. I represent small and medium-sized businesses and help them with their various legal needs, mostly litigation, some transactional. I'm married. I'm a father of two, and that's it. That's me in a nutshell.
Well, yeah, I love this. And so talk about some of the issues facing small businesses, how they should think about starting their business. What things should they be thinking about?
Well, when you start a business, I mean, first of all, it's not a hobby, it's a real thing. So you got to treat it like it's a real thing and make sure when you form your business, whether it's a corporation or an LLC or a partnership, you have all your governing documents in place and all your contracts in place before you do anything, and make sure you register with whatever state you're in with the Division of Corporations. So that's like the initial thing that you do before you have a business. So you got to do all the background paperwork and everything before you actually get started doing stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And what the other question is, the I know a lot of like, for example, LegalZoom, and a lot of people are just starting businesses just like that. What is your advice? Because I know, me personally, I would hire a lawyer to help me, but talk about kind of bootstrapping, or is it a good idea to bootstrap the legal part of your business? Because, that can really, if you do it wrong, it can be in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you should, as part of your business, you should budget and have a legal budget, just like you have an accounting budget, because you have an accountant, and you have other budgets because you have other professionals and other things that you do. Having an attorney or having a legal budget is a necessity. It's not a luxury, because
Yeah.
you need to have an attorney or at least some kind of legal help with the various things you're going to do, whether it's like we were just talking about setting up your business, tax issues, employment issues, contract issues. So, as part of your business plan, you really should budget having an attorney as part of that plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Insurance, like, you want to do it like insurance is kind of your cost of doing business when in the event that shit hits the fan. And it's the same thing. It's like you wouldn't hire someone who didn't go to medical school to treat you, and so next thing is talking about uh how attorneys work with accountants. Should you have a deficit? Can they do all of the work together? Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that attorneys and accountants do overlap, but you need to have an attorney and you need to have an accountant if you can afford it, if you can do it. Um, Definitely an accountant, 100%. Maybe you can do, like you said, LegalZoom or something with the attorney part or whatever, but I'd recommend having an attorney, but you definitely need an accountant. I work for my clients with accountants. I work hand in hand with them, setting up all the business plans and all the various things that the business needs to do. As far as structurally setting it up, I consult with the accountant to see what the best tax vehicle is to set it up. And then the accountant consults with me as far as putting together the documents to facilitate it.
Yeah. Yeah. My next question is, how do you deal with a lawsuit?
Well, when you're in business,
Um,
sometimes lawsuits happen. It's just part of, being in business. And lawsuits, whether it's for a breach of contract, like a contract went bad or someone owes someone money or something like that, those are generally most of the business lawsuits, or employment issues. Those are most of the lawsuits that you see in business. I mean, obviously, you can't run from it. You have to address it. You have to address it quickly, and you have to address it effectively. One of the things I would say is that if you're ever sued, always turn it over to your insurance as soon as possible to see if you have insurance coverage. That way, you don't have to pay for the attorney yourself. It's your insurance company who pays for the attorney. If your insurance declines it and you have to do it yourself, obviously hire an attorney to defend you. Otherwise, it will turn out very bad for you. And then obviously, as a plaintiff, or if you're on the suing side, if you need to enforce a contract or you need to recover money or need to do something, the only way you can do that realistically is to file a lawsuit.
Yeah. Yeah. This is really fascinating, especially with lawsuits. And that's one thing you don't want to go alone. You have to, get expert legal advice. Looking at your background, what is one piece of advice that every business owner should know?
One piece of advice that every business owner should know is, it's a business. It's not a hobby. You have to take it seriously. You have to do everything on the up and up. You have to do everything for real. You have to do everything professionally. So you have to keep records. You have to have, contracts. You have to make sure you do your taxes. You can't just, nonchalantly go about things. It's a real obligation and it's a real thing. And you have to treat it like that at all times. Because if you don't, you're going to run into problems.
Yeah. Yeah. That every business makes that you see very commonly.
They don't have enough contracts as far as what they do, whether it's setting up their business or whether it's facilitating how they either sell goods to people or provide services or do their billing. It's all, people treat it very informally, and it should be treated on a much more formal basis and done with 100% in writing of contracts.
Yeah. Yeah. What sounds like what you're saying is, it's a business, it's not a hobby. Make sure you get professional advice. Don't do it on your own. That's why you have professionals. That's why you went to law school. Same thing with your books, your accounting records, everything. So how can people find you and reach out to you and see if they, want to work with you?
Sure. I'm all over the internet. I'm on all social media, but the best way to get in touch with me is to go to my website, which is fornarolegal.com. So it's just my last name, Fornaro legal.com. And then you can just put in my name and I'll come up on Facebook. I'll come up on, Instagram. I'm all over the place. Twitter, X, whatever you want, I'm there.
And for all the audience out there, let's thank for coming onto the podcast and talking about, the legal and be sure to reach out to him, give him a like and follow on social. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
All right. Thank you for having me.